Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. Absolutely fabulous guests the world over with incredible backgrounds. They've usually been on some sort of a transformative journey and they've decided to help others along the way. We've had all sorts of types or people from all sorts of walks of life and from around the world, about 20, 25 countries to date. And we've got about 254 shows booked into August of 2025. We've had healers, psychotherapists, authors, doctors, one Delta Force operator, one White House physician to the US president, and so on. Just incredible backgrounds, but again, they've been through something. It doesn't have to be the near-death experience crowd. Like we've had plenty of those guests, up to 5 near-death experiences for one individual, including a plane crash that's detailed in her show. 2 others with 3 near-death experiences each. But it could be just the personal transformative journey that I think we all go through, the ebb and flow of life. And again, they've chosen to give service to others. Today, we've got a fantastic guest coming back on. I've had her on a couple panels as well. I hold her in the highest regard. She's been trained in India. She lives in St. Thomas, US Virgin Islands. VASI Therese Rose Lopez, thank you so much for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael. It's really great to be back.
And thank you again. You're a healer. You've studied a ton of different modalities in the past. You'll explain what you do for folks, and today we're going to focus especially on one particular ceremonial act, the puja, and it comes from India, and we will definitely be getting into a lot of detail. We've got experience with this topic before, and I'm excited because you've studied under Sri Kaleshwar when he was alive. I describe this Indian saint as love on an Indian breeze. And he's of the lineage of Sri Shirdi Sai Baba. And I believe that would be your lineage, and you have a better way to say it all. But you're an authentic, super intuitive, big hearted healer. And that's the part of the intro I wanted to make sure I got in.
Thank you. Yes.
Can we start off with a personal story somewhere where the universe stepped in and it was unusual? You still either think about it today or it was an act of grace or something like that. Do you have one of those you can share with us?
I do. I have a story about driving here on St. Thomas, actually, and my car started overheating and something popped off. I heard it pop off into the road and I didn't know what to do. My husband wasn't around at the time. He wasn't answering and was just like in the road looking around. I didn't have anyone to call who could help me mechanically. And like a minute later, these 2 people drove up and parked behind my car. I really want to think that they were angels because I don't know who they were. And they didn't give their names, but they helped put the car back together. They put the hose back on and helped me start it again, make sure I was okay to go. And then they brought me to someone's house where we could just refresh ourselves after I was trying to do something with the car, but I got kind of dirty, my hands got dirty. Anyway, they brought us to someone's home where we could just kind of wash up and then be on our way. And I don't know who they were. It was just the strangest thing, but they were there right there in the nick of time. I mean, to me, it was angels who stepped in and helped me out. It was very interesting.
And St. Thomas is a small enough island that there would have been
It's,
pretty good odds, and you've been there a long time. You would have known exactly who it was.
I would have, but I never saw them again either.
Do you
So
mind if
that,
I hold up Joy's photo, Joy, an angel that we know,
mm,
to just fill in? You don't have to share the details publicly, but if she says something and says, "Yeah, you can share it out loud," which 2 angels were those?
actually, she said one of them was Baba.
Sai Baba, and I was going to say Sai
Oh
Baba.
my goodness.
Who? So one was Sai Baba, and who was the other one?
The other, I'm not quite getting the name of the second one.
Angel, though, or
Yeah.
Indian figure?
No, Angel. Yeah.
That's good enough. Well, maybe
Begins with an R.
Yeah, if we remember, we'll circle back. Do you happen to have one or two other moments like that that you can share, or just something that left your head shaking all these years later, or you're just super pleased because it serves as a reminder there's always something bigger about the universe and how big love is, no matter what we're thinking?
I remember one time I was in India doing a special process with Sri Kaleshwar, and we were to have written our requests on paper and then given them all to him because he had a large group to handle. And so I had done that. And my particular question I can actually remember to this day. And maybe after we gave the questions to him, maybe about 3 hours later, the answer came in my head. I mean, he just answered me that quickly. I was kind of surprised. I thought we might have another private meeting with him and he would explain things, but it just came like right in. It was very clear and it wasn't made up for me. I could tell it was his energy informing me, the answer of that question I had for my special process. So
Let's. Oh, I love that. With your permission, let's cover India for a second. Your exposure to India, who you studied under, who Sri Shirdi Sai Baba is. But let's start with Sri Kaleshwar. He was very young when he passed. Was he about 42 and it was around 2012 or so?
it was in 2012. He was 39 years old. Yes, when he took Samadhi. Yes, yeah. He had done a lot of work, inspired by Shirdi Baba and Divine Mother. Um, his dharma was to share the knowledge of the Divine Mother with the world, both through experience, through having darshan of her, like seeing her with your eyes open, like we're seeing each other, and through the knowledge and information that came off the palm leaf manuscripts. So he was working constantly around the clock, both with students and then on his books and working on the transcripts. Every process that we have done, he has done himself to make sure that it works. And then he chose all the, like, I guess you could say, the strongest ones so that we could be on the fast track of our soul progress.
And there are two interviews up that I put on the fun and gentle video list on this channel. If people want to look, it's a little buried. You'll have to go to the playlist and look at all the playlists, the list of playlists, and you'll see the fun and gentle selection. There'll be two 26-minute interviews in there done by Alan Steinfeld around 2000 or so. They're beautiful. You get a very good sense for Sri Kaleshwar. Again, he speaks very gently. He's super patient. He officiated at the person who's filming Alan Steinfeld's future wedding at that point. Alan has been a guest to the show. And I'll mention, I think John Gray is in there as well, author of Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, who will also be a guest in the spring, summer of 2025 on this show. We'll see if we get a chance just to ask him at least about India, and maybe he'll want to share a little more about his experiences back then. But one of the things John Gray mentioned in that video is all the mini miracles or miracles that were done, and how his brother was a magician at the time, I believe he said in the video. And so he knows some of the inside moves, and none of this was fake in any way or anything like that. Can you describe just maybe the flower petals in your hand, but when you open it up, you would have a locket, or some of the other things Sri Kaleshwar was known for doing? I know it's not necessarily the focus we want to have when we're talking about Sri Kaleshwar, because he was much bigger than that. It was more to satisfy some of the curiosity. But maybe you could talk a little bit more about what Sri Kaleshwar was about, what he tried to share, and his legacy.
Well, he really was about helping to heal humanity, helping to serve the people. He believed that we're all equal, that we all have the same ability to be like him, like Shirdi Baba, like Jesus. We all have that divine spark in our soul that needs to be nourished and, for our soul capacity to reach as high as we can in this life, to get to enlightenment. And so he, like I was saying, he's given the fast track on the processes that he's tested himself. And these are given from Divine Mother herself on the palm leaves. And so the palm leaves are like ancient manuscripts, and they're very, very fragile at this point because they're thousands of years old. And saints and rishis meditated and got the information in their visions, in their meditations, and they just wrote it down on the palm leaves. And so there's a lot of information. There's mantra, there's yantra, which is a diagram, a sacred diagram, a geometric expression. And Swami just brought all of that together for us and brought it to the West. He wanted to help the Western students get to know more about the Eastern philosophy and the spiritual culture of the East. And so he brought all that together for us. He had students from all around the world, including Europe, Japan, uh, Mexico, all around. And so he would have processes at the ashram for, it started out for very small groups, but as his name spread, there would be upwards to 300, 350 people at one time at the ashram doing these processes. And that's a huge amount of energy to be able to handle, you know. But he was at that point in his life where he was able to handle everyone's different, you know, personalities, the energy that comes up when you're in a high energy process. It can bring up your blocks and your negativity. So he was really good at handling everyone's issues and helping. He knew the ways to also help alleviate that. Showering often, and, you know, changing your clothes, and just being very sattvic. We ate very vegetarian food. Everything was easy, and I mean, the food was easy to digest, so it wasn't doing anything to our system. It was a very peaceful type of existence there and diet. We meditated a lot, and he did very special processes with us to help bring forth the energy from the power objects that are there at the ashram. There's a huge, beautiful murti or statue of Divine Mother. And there's one of Shirdi Baba as well. There's one of Jesus. They're all supercharged with the soul energy of these particular divine beings.
And Mary and Buddha are a big part of this as well.
Yes, Mother Mary and Buddha are a part of this lineage, the divine lineage of saints. And there are other saints as well, maybe they're less familiar to people, but there are many, many saints in this divine lineage. And all the processes that Swami gave us, these other saints have done as well. And so it's using divine energy channels, the creation channels, how to recreate the creation, how to improve it and make changes for the better for everybody. And so Swami was really about the oneness that we have as a human family, that we might look different, have different backgrounds, but really we're all one soul family. And so people from all over the world would come to the ashram, all different religious backgrounds. Religion wasn't a thing to him. He said, the true religion is the religion of love. So we all were on that wavelength. And like you said, love on an Indian breeze. He really was very, very loving.
It's brilliant. And you started off before you knew who he was, or at least before you had made the first trip to India. You had started off with other modalities, Reiki, crystal healing, and so on. But what you just described about divine light, divine consciousness and flows is what you're about today. And pujas and other ceremonial ways that you assist clients and so on. We're about to get to the puja part of this, but I still wanted to paint more of the picture around Sri Kaleshwar. There are a couple of classic stories that perhaps you could relate, if that's okay. In his upbringing, there was a time where he was doing a lot of meditating. He was supposed to be studying. His dad wanted to make sure he was not meditating. He was actually doing his lessons. I think he burst into the room and got quite the surprise because he was planning on perhaps physically handling Sri Kaleshwar a little bit. Can you describe that classic? You know exactly which story. Can you share with that? Can you share with us what happened in that story?
Yes, Swami was inspired by Baba when he was just 14 years old. In that, Swami was studying at a dilapidated temple for his math exams. And, you know, nobody else was around the temple. So that's why he chose it. It was a quiet place. He could just ride his bike there and study. And one day there was an old man at the temple who seemed to know a lot about Swami. And Swami didn't know who he was at the time. But through their interaction, Baba blessed Swami at that time when he was 14 years old and helped to bring up his abilities and his gifts. And after that, really all Swami wanted to do was to meditate. He didn't want to be going to school. His father wanted him to be, a doctor or some higher education person. And he just wanted to learn about the cosmic channels, meditate, and study that. So one day he was up in his room, and his father knew his tendency to want to meditate instead of do his schoolwork. Because I think the father got heat from the teacher saying, make sure your son studies, because when he's in class, he's just not paying attention. He's daydreaming, so they thought. And one day Swami was in the room studying, and his father came up the stairs. And Swami had told him before, don't come in the room. I'm doing a special meditation. And when his father went up there, because it had been a long time, like longer than homework might take, he opened the door and there was the tiger. And it gave the biggest shock to his father. Yes, exactly. Divine Mother's tiger. So he was in a very high meditation at that time, and it just really freaked his father out. Um, I don't think his father bothered him after that, but he also didn't want him to be around either.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
here's the Divine Mother's tiger. If you don't mind getting personal commentary from that day, this will be both insightful. This tiger is action on everyone's team, deity-like, neither male nor female, but if you prefer one or the other, that's fine. You can put your hand out and feel the fur if you wish. We'll do that later. But what does the tiger say about that day?
It was a deeper connection time for Swami with the tiger and with Divine Mother.
So there was a big flow happening, and yeah, and
it was a big illusion for his father to see that, to accept it.
and that helped smooth things out a little bit, one way or the other.
Right. The shock of it all.
And Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, if we could just cover him for a bit, he's two places I thought in your office, although now the camera angle is a little different.
It's right
Definitely, yeah,
here
right there, and then there. I thought there was another one over your left shoulder, but that's off.
on the side.
Yeah. And so, could you just cover for folks roughly when he was alive? Did he pass around? I'm going to make it up, 1919 or so.
Yeah, I think it was 1918.
18, yeah. And
Yeah. And he was, I don't think we actually know the exact date of his birth, but he was born to a family. Nobody really knows his true parents. His mother, I think, had abandoned him when he was very young, and someone found him on the riverbank and brought him to another family who already had children, and he was raised with a Muslim family. And he was a very unusual child. He didn't do what the other children did. And I don't know exactly what age, I think maybe 16 years old. He was heavy into meditation. He received some instruction from his guru to go to Shirdi and just to stay there. So he would sit outside the village because the people didn't understand him. They didn't want him to come in. So he just sat outside, knowing that his guru had instructed him to go in. But if they wouldn't let him in, then he stayed on the outskirts. He meditated through the heat and the cold, the rain, whatever it was. He just was very dedicated to his meditation time, like a Shiva, like a Lord Shiva. He is incarnation of Lord Shiva. So he was always meditating in the other realms, but also on the earth plane too, knowing, that he had to someday help people. And more people would go by him and be very impressed with him. And some people, a couple of times people had gone by who maybe were ill, and he recommended certain herbs to take. And once he had done that, they received the medicine that he suggested, they were healed. And so people got to know about him more and more because he was healing people without really even touching them, just suggesting certain plants to take and how to take them. And his fame grew. Finally, they let him into the village. And he sat in a little dilapidated mosque with a dooni nearby him, burning the karmas of the people. He came here as well to serve humanity. And that's why Swami was like that. They're, right in line with the oneness and helping everyone out. And so he would burn the karmas of the people. He would really help heal anyone who came who was ill, or, um, help clear their karmas. He was very much like a doctor. He was considered a doctor in the village, even though he didn't have that training per se. Yeah.
back to Sri Kaleshwar, you were there and you've been, would you say, was it 11 or so trips to India? Is it more?
At least something like that. Yes.
Uh, one last little bit of flavor, and this is a very Western question, but can you give a few examples of Sri Kaleshwar with different folks and what they might have received, whether it was just insight or this or that? There's definitely a lot of stories or recounting of this or that. What are you comfortable relaying? Again, remembering that he's love on an Indian breeze. He's so pleasant and gentle. It was his vibe and his teachings that were super important, not necessarily the details. But this is a show, and to paint some of the details is not a bad idea for the audience.
Yeah, Sri Kaleshwar would, when there were big programs there, like the Shivaratri, the Guru Purnima, or the Navaratri timings, he would have hundreds of people at the ashram. And he would do processes with all of us. And then he would choose specific groups, like people who had been with him the longest, and he would work with them as well during those times. And what he would often do is, if they were ready, if they were at the right vibratory level, he would give them darshan of somebody, whether it was Shirdi Baba or Divine Mother. That means bringing that being in front of them so they could see with their own eyes and receive all the energy of that soul.
Hmm.
And so that was a big thing to have happen, is a darshan of Divine Mother, of Shirdi Baba, could have been Hanuman, Jesus. He brought those other energies into form so that people could experience them themselves. And really, when you're doing spiritual processes, experience can speak more to your soul than the words and the knowledge that you learn. That's important too, but experience really ties it all together and propels you more on your path. It stays with you a lot longer. You always have that experience to replay.
And so I had not until I think today's show, unless I had heard it once before, the darshan of these figures, seeing them directly and having a transmission that way is brilliant. I loved the sound of all that. I hadn't ever thought of it that way. I did want to ask, is it the typical human experience, though, that 20 to 30 years later, after that experience, that if we had 300 people experience that, they still could have gone in any which direction? If you were to catch up with them today, spin the wheel, some have set up the school to honor him, continue the teachings. Others have gone, though, as all humans would do, in every direction imaginable and emotionally as well. It's the way human beings roll is the entire scale of colors plus black and white and different shades of gray. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, pretty fair. I mean, a lot of the students who were close to him really have gone off in their own direction, fulfilling their own dharma, their own soul gifts. Um, they have centers where there's a lot of spiritual activities and pujas and water healings. Some people have
California,
gone to,
California, Germany, Japan.
yes, California, up in Northern California, Laytonville, Germany, Vierhof, I think, and other places as well. In Japan, they have a really nice student center also, Tokyo, I believe. And so everyone has gone in their own direction and like serving their community. Some people, of course, have relocated and they're serving other communities rather than where they necessarily grew up. But a lot of the students who were close to Swami when he was starting out have gone in a very strong spiritual direction, and they're doing a lot to help others in the world,
Hmm.
using their gifts and their abilities and sharing with others what Swami has shared with them.
Okay, we're going to take one step, and that would be one more personal anecdote, story, moment that you had directly with Swami. And then, with your permission, I'll put up some photographs with some different India angelic figures. We'll do that. And then, with your permission, we'll play a minute setting the intention, setting the tone prayer mantra, which you'll have the right words for, and then we'll talk puja, and we'll dive into a very deep topic that's very sacred, been around a long time. You're an expert on it. I've heard you talk about this several times now, and it's wonderful because you've been doing it a long time. You're speaking from the heart, and there's a lot to share here. Plus, we're going to have some shots of different fires and so on. So first things first, what could you share that was a personal experience that was still today, you have to flash back to it at least twice a year and say, wow, I can't believe that still happened, or I had a moment. We certainly have Sri Kaleshwar's moment at the bottom of the well where he's chanting full moon to build up his Shakti for probably the group. He's supposed to have somebody watching at the top of the well, and I think a cobra came along and the man ran off. He got out of
Yeah.
that one just okay. But what was one of your stories from one of your trips that to this day you're still like, wow, I'm so thankful for that?
There have been a few things that have happened in the processes that I've had with him. So I think maybe the one that I'll relay is it was toward the end of his life. I think it was 2011 when I was at the ashram. Uh, I was like in between meditation and a meal, probably walking around the ashram, and I saw him like dash in front of me to go to the Dorkamai, which is where the Divine Mother is located on the property, on the grounds of the ashram. And he was running really fast, like he needed to be there now. And I know that, you know, if he gets a prompt or something, he's like right on it. He doesn't waste because he knows you can't waste the time. And he's always told us that. So I watched him and I said, oh my God, I better go see what's happening, because it felt like he was connecting with Divine Mother and that she was going to show something or give something. And so I followed him. He was already in there. He walked so fast. He was already in the door. Come I looking at her. And by the time I got there, there had been an expression of fluid from her murti, from her statue. It was a red substance, red fluid in a couple of different places. And he actually had one of the students touch it and show the rest of the students that it wasn't just something that he kind of put up there and made happen. It was really her expression of love to him, gratitude to him. It was, I believe the message was, it's not quite your time to go yet.
Mm.
You know, stay a little bit longer and do some more work with the students. And it was a miracle. We all witnessed a miracle there.
He always knew he was going to go early. He was working ridiculous hours. I mean, ridiculous. Like, was he working 20 hours a day, essentially nonstop, didn't get a break, and he didn't mind, but he also didn't want to be doing that for 80 years.
Right. He'd want to do it for a long time, but he knew he had to do as much as he could, work as hard as he could with the time that he had. And he did. He was like you said, you know, sometimes 20-hour days, and they're very long and tiring. Um, and that wasn't all the time, but it was, you know, pretty much a lot of the time that he did that just to get his books out, to be prepared for students, to give healings to people. There was a lot every day that was going on.
Okay, and then last question before we start taking some steps to keep it a little different than most shows or podcasts. We'll take some active steps and then we'll talk puja and start it off with a ceremonial. I think it's a prayer mantra. I've heard it before, but I just don't ever have any lingo for anything. How he related to his students. It's not that he would ever tease a student, but would he come up with a nickname, or he knows their characteristics so he'd know how to handle them? Can you just maybe share your own, what were you known for when you were there? And what would you like to share how he would relate to that? Were you a super good meditator and super good at going straight to the line of whatever I'm trying to say is this? How would he come in and always find a way to touch your energy and to lighten? Everyone was coming at it a different way. How would he touch you? What were you known for? How would he add either a polish to the facet, lighten you up, soften you up, help you to be harder on this area so you'd be more focused? I don't think that was your issue at all, though. How would he do his touch to you, and what words would he share that you can share?
Well, when I first got there and I was first starting the programs, it was so new to me. I didn't always understand what was happening. And that was okay, because the energy was going to our soul and it's not really for our mind to try to grasp it and work with it. So a lot of the time, um, he would, I want to say this in a nice way, he would ignore. And that means he's working on your karmas. So I mean, I could try to walk up to him and he might just keep walking or, or not look right at me, and that's fine. He did that with a lot of students. He was always working on their karmas, but the way he did it was like he wouldn't always interact with you. Um, but I knew it was coming from a loving place. And there were other times where he would flash a big smile and just, be very grateful, showing his the love that way. It was always different. It was a different way. I wasn't really known for anything at the ashram per se. Um, but I just appreciated how he was with people. He really walked his talk. He was not, not fake in any sense of the word. He was completely genuine and um, a real source of inspiration for all of us. How he lived and how he ran the processes, how things flowed. It was really impressive and very, very productive. A lot of people um, have been changed because of it.
And it's fair to say you applied yourself quite fastidiously. Is that a word? Quite astutely. I don't know the word exactly, but you definitely applied yourself in the years since those formative trips at the beginning. And this is going to come out the wrong way as a Western society question. I'm so sorry, but what's the maximum number of hours you've ever meditated in a row before we shift gears and go to divine figures? What's the maximum hours, Vossy, you've meditated in a row?
I'd probably say six,
Thank you.
6 in a row.
And this isn't to embarrass you in any way, but you know your stuff. And that's not always, no one needs to do 6 hours. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We're not here to judge it. I just wanted to make sure people understood you've got some water under the bridge or some experience. I don't have the right way to say it. So forgive me for that. With your permission, I'm going to put 5 photos up. We'll just do, or maybe 6, but it'll be like Buddha, Mary, Jesus, Sri Shirdi Sai Baba, Sri Kaleshwar, and maybe one more. Divine Mother, we might have to just do invisibly. Whoever comes up first. For Mary, I'm going to do a modern version of Mary. People can remember the drawing and the heart on the shirt, and that's very European. Most people have to have it that way. Here's Mary. If you could get a reminder from her and also feel divine blessings, lots of love and compassion. And the photograph can move, more sparkle in the eyes, smile. Anybody at home who's off the charts intuitive or just doesn't know any better, ask for rainbow glitter, tiniest little flecks of light around you, left and right if you resist, all around the room if you're totally gung-ho and like, let's do it. And I've only got one rule, set your intent, and that's just tell the universe, or sorry, ask the universe politely with love. Hey, help me out of my head into my heart and receive all. Amen, thank you, Om Sai Ram, rock and roll, whatever way you relate to the most. You can ask angels, angels, help me out of my head into my heart and help me see a little bit of rainbow glitter and feel Mary's love, or hear Mary. Feel a hand on your shoulder if you want to go crazy. Vossy, what are you getting from Mary right now? Are you feeling her?
I'm feeling the depth of her love.
Yay.
And I'm really, feeling that she wants us to stand in our light and stand in our truth.
And let's do a sort of a historical viewpoint question. I don't have the best words today, but I'll do the best I can. What does she say about Sri Kaleshwar's journey here and his time here and how he helped others? Did he not come at it with a little bit of extra flavor? And what's Mary say?
His life was actually predicted in the ancient scripts that they knew someone who would have a really strong connection with Divine Mother would come to the earth and help humanity. And he's done just that. He's brought together different traditions and different religions to be under one spiritual family. And he's really brought Divine Mother's energy, experience, the transmissions from her to all of us.
And does she have a short, pithy, fun observation about Sri Kaleshwar?
Well, he has a good sense of humor.
Thank you. Okay, we'll see who I can find next here. How about Buddha? Anybody wants to catch incense from a temple just 10 meters, 30 feet behind you, even though you are in a high-rise building right now, it's okay, close your eyes. Catch a deep temple incense that's just wow. Could be Laos, Vietnam, India if you want, but Buddhist tradition incense. Hear the chimes, the musical things that move in the wind. But what's Buddha reminding you of? And also what's Buddha have about the Sri Shirdi Sai Baba lineage, the Sri Kaleshwar.
And Buddha is reminding, for each of us to hold the silence within, to make that time to be in silence with ourselves.
And then Sri Shirdi Sai Baba. He's Mr. Miracles, is how I describe him. Tight with the angels. He straddles 3 religions: Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism. And he's compassion, compassion, compassion. Let him move, wink, smile in the photograph. I'll try to hold it ultra still. Great chance to meet your ego. The brain says I didn't just see him wink or smile or move a hand. The heart says, ooh, do it again. And there you begin to see the difference in flows. Catch incense again, but this time different. And what are you getting, Vossy?
To be joyful in the moment, and to be in the present moment.
And we'll do Sri Kaleshwar, young photo of him as soon as I can find it. Here we go. Getting closer. Getting closer. There we go. And what's he have as a reminder for us all?
To honor the divinity within us in whatever way you do that. It could be with this lineage, it could be with, in other ways, like being in nature. But yeah, honoring the divinity within.
And final one, unless Ganesh got in there. So then the tiger, and then we're done, and then we'll begin talking about pujas. Okay, Ganesh or Ganesha, whichever way you like to say it. What's he have as a reminder for us all?
To be like still in the midst of adversity, when the world is going topsy-turvy, be in your center. Know what it is that you are. And don't get caught up with it.
Good advice, especially for today, in these days. And here we go with one final drawing. It's the tiger on the wall here. And I am just approaching it now. Here we go. This is the divine mother when she rides on a tiger. This is the tiger whose action on everyone's team. If somebody's really gung-ho, they could put their hand out like a tall dog is walking through. I'll just say a tiger walking through the room. You can feel the soft fur, shampooed, super nice. You can hear him or her or it, whichever way you want to roll. And what's the divine tiger reminding us whose action?
Allowing the divine to illuminate our lives.
Okay. What are we about to experience in terms of the topic? What are pujas? Are they a bunch of different meanings? Can you talk to us big picture what we're about to start exploring?
Fire puja is a very special process that Sri Kaleshwar gave to us as a way of connecting more deeply with Divine Mother at the full moon and the new moon timings. And so he's given very specific mantras to use at each of those timings. We use the Mahakali prayer for the full moon, and we use the Shakti Gayatri for the new moon. The puja is really, it's self-care. For people who are involved in spiritual process, it's not very easy because it is really, you're having to bring up your own issues, your ego, and deal with that. And it's really rewarding when you get through it, but you do need things like puja and being in nature, even going to the sea to help you get through everything that you're working with. So we have something called personal process, and this is part of our personal process. It's daily. It's like a lifestyle, and so on the moons, we honor the God energy of fire which is transformative all the way around. And we also connect with Divine Mother. So Shirdi Baba, Sri Kaleshwar, and other saints have had fires burning in their lives, like constantly burning the karmas of the people, helping with processes. The fire is a really powerful element because it connects us with the consciousness of Divine Mother, with all beings, with angels, with Divine Father. So it's really powerful.
I love it. And we're about to play a recording, but not quite yet, with the Shakti Gayatri, if I said it correctly. Could you personally recite that? Is that okay to have you say it out loud, just as a sample of what it sounds like? I know we're going to do a recording for a minute. Can you give us that? I mean, you've said it enough. You have it memorized. Yes?
Mhm.
Okay. Can you say it for us and explain the significance? Again, it's on the new moon that's said.
Yes, the new moon. Okay. My, clean, 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 sound. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsavitur Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. And the significance of the Shakti Gayatri is that it really helps us to shed negativity, like a snake shedding its skin. The more and more and more you repeat it on any given day, and the more you do the new moon process, it really helps to release the karmas from around your soul, to clear your soul, to help it to become more a predominant feature in your life, what you speak from and act from, rather than from your mind.
And was that Telugu, Hindi, or other?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think it's Telugu. Okay. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so where do you want to take us next? It's a big topic, and you're very good at describing this. Again, we know this for a fact. Take us through, where should we start for the topic of the puja?
Well, puja is something that I've been doing for about 15 years here on island. Before that, I had done other fire processes like the Native American full and new moon rituals, and also Agnihotra, which honors the sunrise and sunset timings. So I was prepared with all of those. But one day I was driving on the highway up to the Laytonville Center, and I just got this prompt from Baba, you're going to start doing pujas on island. And I thought, okay, I'll leave it to you. I know you'll get me set up and everything. And I love puja anyway, but I didn't know that I would be really practicing them as much as I have been. But, as we've discussed earlier, this area has had a lot of heavy negativity on it from the past. And so I think it's really important that it's here now, that it's been here for so long. It's a process, like I said, it's connecting with Divine Mother at the moon timings when our soul and our chakra system are wide open to bring in, to drink in all that divine essence. And so it's a very powerful process to help release the negativity that we might be holding and also to bring in more divine energy. It's a really nice exchange. It's a very strong energy exchange. And even like after the puja, in the 2 weeks before the next one, the energy can still be running. It's not just you're at a puja and then you go back to your regular life. It's constant. The energy continues on after that. So the puja is a channel of consciousness. It's the way that we can connect with the divine through looking at the flames. Swami's always said, when you come to a puja, have an open heart. That's how everything starts, is with that love energy flowing. It's also important to thank your parents, who he says are our first gods. They brought us into this world. They've brought us up. They've given us our karmic lessons. And, we chose to come into the families that we're in anyway. So really honor your parents, even if you didn't like them or you didn't have good relationship with them. They did bring you up and bring you into the world. So that's the way we start our pujas, is by doing all of that. The flow of the puja is really to offer rice, ghee, which is clarified butter, incense, flowers, and a coconut. At the very end, we offer a huge basket with all those ingredients, seeds, flowers, incense, fruit. It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful display. And that's all for the Divine Mother in exchange for our requests for what we're asking. It could be to, to relieve negativity, to receive a healing, to receive a blessing, to help heal the parts of the world that are really at war, people who are at war with each other, whatever it is, the puja, the fire energy, can handle our requests. And so during the puja, which lasts about an hour, as we're chanting the mantra together, that builds the Shakti, it builds the energy as we go. And we offer, as we're prompted, as we feel we have some energy and intention put into the rice that we're holding. Once we've fulfilled that, we feel really good about that intention and we want to offer it, then we put it into the fire, which burns it. It burns away the whatever energy might be in that offering. We offer flowers also. We have incense burning all the time. It's a very special process, and that people can have different. They can have maybe a response while they're at the puja, or maybe nothing at all. The energy can be subtle, or it can be very, not in your face, but it could be more evident, I guess you could say. And so everyone has a different experience. It doesn't really matter. It's because you're there and you have the intention to connect. That's the important part. And however the divine answer your prayer, you just go with that. It's what you can handle, so a lot of the time it's really beautiful. People will come back or call me the next day or something and say, this happened and I'm just so grateful that I was there. Thank you for offering it. You never know how it's going to turn out. And they're always good. It always feels good to everyone to be there. It's like they feel relieved, that there's a lot that's just come off of them. They just let go of a lot. And for chanting an hour, looking into the flames, it can really do that to you. The puja is it's like a divine mechanism. The mantras that we use have a divine mother's vibration in them. And in the mantra, there are certain little seed sounds called bijas. Those, when they're being chanted and offered up, create like a vibratory vessel or a vibratory code that the angels can understand. So the angels will respond to our requests. So really it's for us when we have the request to not be attached to the outcome of them, not be looking for a particular way for them to come back to us, but just to know that we've made our request to the universe, to Divine Mother, and she will answer us how it is best for us to get that answer, to get that information. It brings people together. It's really great to do, especially after we have storms. People are a little shaky. So it's a nice way for people to come together and do something that's a high spiritual process and just be together as a community supporting each other.
Tell us more.
So the flow of the puja I was describing, we do what's called the opening prayers. We honor the guru, we honor Ganesh, and we chant also the Gayatri mantra. That's honoring all of the divinities, the Father, the Mother, and the Ganesh energy. Ganesh is the remover of obstacles, so it's really important to always include his prayer before a process, before a puja, whatever it might be, before a meditation. So we do that, and then we start the chanting of the mantra for an hour. And at the very end, we offer a really large basket of the seeds, some oil as well on that, the fruit, the flowers, and the big coconut. Before we actually offer that basket, we take the coconut and we break it off to the side. And the coconut itself it holds like fresh water and air in it that's never been touched by creation. All of that inside is pure energy. And after all the chanting that we do, that energy goes into the coconut to, our requests are all going into it. And so when we break it, it's all that new energy coming out into creation, coming into, this earth plane. And so it's a real fresh feeling for that to happen. And the coconut is like, it has the elements inside of it, just like we do. And so in a way, it represents the cracking of our ego, which is very hard sometimes to get through. So there's a little bit of a mechanism going on with that, and that the coconut can represent our hard heads, and it's it's very powerful to crack it and then offer that to the fire because everything has gone into it. And then when you crack it and open it, it releases out, and it just the angels respond to it, and the fire just eats it up, purifies it, and it turns everything to ash. Whatever it was that was is now gone. And so it's a very powerful way to finish the process and bring that energy all together. And there are quite a few benefits of doing the fire puja. I do have some things to share about that.
Did you
It
want
can
to
help with,
did you want to
yes,
play the recording first that you normally start a ceremony off with? Is that okay?
sure, I can do that.
Okay.
Yes, it's the Guru mantra, the Ganesh, and also the Gayatri mantra. And it's Swami's voice, so it will be a little different. When he was younger, he recorded this. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva, Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahman, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Suklam Bharadaram Vishnum Seshivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarva Vighnopashantaye. Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Yeah, when his energy comes in, it really, I can feel it. Um, so that's what we do before any process, meditation, fire puja, was we acknowledge the divine that has given us all this to do, all this energy to work with, all these beautiful blessings. Yeah. So
Can I put up Sai Baba's photo again and also Sri Kaleshwar before we read or go over the benefits? What would Sai Baba say? Two things or three things about the puja? And this is just super easy, direct listening. What's he have a reminder for us on?
he says the angels are present at the pujas, and they do really enjoy hearing the singing of the opening mantras. His presence is there also because he had a dhuni burning all the time, and it's still burning. And same with Sri Kaleshwar.
And then Sri Kaleshwar. Here we go. And if I could ask, what does he have for us about how this is really all easier than it seems?
Well, he's given us this process, and so he's really put it together for us. It's just for us to carry through with it. And that it really does help us so that people do feel different when they come. It's really to keep implementing it, to come as often as you can, because that's when you get the benefit, is when you're more consistent with it.
And can you talk to us about in your community, people have been coming for years, sometimes as few as 3, 4, 5, 10 people, but sometimes much larger groups. Depends on their personal needs and how they view it. But how does that work again for people come back on a regular basis because it's just how
Because
it
they notice a difference. Yeah, they notice a difference in their lives, things that happen. It can help them to like handle better what's happening in their lives, or it can even change things that may have happened. Um, it just, I think it really builds community is what it does. It makes for more balanced feeling within yourself and balanced interaction among other people. It has its own kind of draw, its own appeal. The fire, a lot of people love to come sit by the fire. Um, and so, it brings them back again and again. But that it's a real sacred experience is even greater. It's even more. And I encourage people, if they can't show up in person, to um, contact me on my website, and then they can attend the puja virtually by coming onto the Zoom at the puja, and they have their own coconut, incense, ghee, rice offered on their behalf. And they just have to put their intention into the coconut before the puja starts, and then I will break it for them at the right time. And they'll still get the same benefit, even if they don't know the mantra as well. When we're all chanting, if there's anyone there who doesn't know it, that doesn't preclude them, doesn't keep them out of that situation. They just listen. They'll get the energy while they're there
And
for all those who are chanting.
your website is saiomcreations.com, and I'll just spell that out for folks. It'll be in the fine print below the video, but SAI AUM creations.com. And this is
Yes.
VASI Therese Rose Lopez coming to us from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. We kind of showed it before. Didn't we already blow sage? And you caught that through two screens. There's no time and space quite the way we think, which if you're in Germany, New Zealand, Japan, watching this in the year 2030, way in the future, you can still catch the sage smoke. We're making the point that there are no boundaries. Love is love. And then details. We obviously want to work with details, but it's, again, through love that allows for so much different contrast and so much transmutation. How about that?
Yes. And that is one of the mechanisms of the puja, is that people can receive healing at any distance. It doesn't matter. Even if you're at the puja praying for someone who lives in another part of the world, they'll receive the energy. We're just so interconnected, and the consciousness is everywhere. The love is everywhere. So we are able to connect that way. Even better to be there, and good as well to be online watching it, because you'll still get the energy of the flames as you're watching the flames. Mm-hmm. And the flames are actually, they call it a yantra, which is a sacred diagram for the soul to be able to, it kind of prompts the soul to remember what it is. And most of our yantras are written on copper sheets, but at the puja, the flames themselves are the yantra. So when we combine mantra, which is the prayer, plus the yantra by looking into the flames, we're opening up a whole new avenue of divine connection, and that's called Tantra. It's a very different way of thinking of Tantra for most people, but Swami was very clear that it's bringing the formless into the form. It's connecting with the divine, bringing that supernatural energy in, and getting a result that way, getting a result from the angels answering our prayers by looking into the flames and knowing that everything you're offering has a purpose. It will be burned and our prayers will be answered. And it's very interesting. Many times we've had the faces of divine beings and different energies coming through. And there's so many that I don't even know who they are, but there are a few that I've been able to capture on camera and recognize their presence, their faces. So if this is a good time to share, then I'd like to do that. And I don't always get a message from them, but sometimes I do, to know who they are.
Sure. And I've shared the screen for you to do so. And again, this is just a very sacred act. It's opening openness. It's letting go. It's getting out of what you know to receive or to put it to the universe to then later receive.
So one of the times Shirdi Baba had come to our fire. He's right through here. I don't know if you can see him. His you can see the forehead ridge in his nose, the bridge of his nose, and his two eyes. And then I circled it because some people still couldn't see it even after I explained, but he's right there. It's very interesting to have him show up. I don't always see them when I'm taking photo through my camera, but it's afterwards when I'm going back and looking at the pictures that I see there's something that's come through.
Mm,
Because I don't know that someone's going to come in necessarily. I just feel like an energy in the flames. And so I take the picture. And normally it's when the flames get really high that the energy of a divine being will come through.
mm,
This one is like the energy I got of it was double dragon. There's two faces right here. There was dragon energy in the air from before that day and a few days previous to that. So they showed up at our puja one time. Um, when I made an offering of a lot of branches, the flames got super high again, and I didn't know what it was at the moment. But when I look back at it, and I was just checking the photo, the energy came through. It just came through the word Phoenix.
mm.
That's all it said. It was just Phoenix. Like, this is, everything that you're doing is going to transmute. Everything, can turn to ash. So don't be attached to anything really. All that we have, our possessions, our even our body will be turning to ash someday. So the phoenix came through that one time, and just as a reminder that things have to die before they can be reborn again. This is the picture from our puja at the winter solstice in 2018. Many of our group were there, and this one is of Divine Mother herself. Her arm is extending out this way. This is the peaceful form of Divine Mother. And there was another little face that showed up over here just on the side. It's like a dark face on the side. And so she does have like a fierce form and a very kind and loving form. And we were thinking that this part here, this was more of her fierce form, her Mahakali version, because she does not like the way people treat each other, abuse, hurt. She doesn't like the negativity. So she has to be strong to burn that out. And she came that night to our group. And there's a little bit of a Ganesha right here. I don't know if you can see that coming up from her womb space.
Mm.
Ganesha is a remover of obstacles. And there's a story on that one as well, that she created him herself, just with her sole intention and a little bit of sandal paste.
Beautiful.
And then the final photo here is an ascended master, El Moria Khan. He came in one time to the puja. He's been here a few times to the pujas, but this is the best photo where he showed up very clearly. So he's present and watching also. He does a lot of work with Mother Mary to help raise the consciousness of humanity and to help souls become more free as souls and not be living in fear.
And
So
when was the last puja there in St. Thomas on the island? When's the last puja that just took place, and when's the next one about to take place, roughly?
our most recent puja was on, let's see what is today. It was last week. It was about a week ago. And the next one is going to be on the 2nd of September. Second or third, the moon cusps. It's different part of the world. It's going to be on the 3rd, and another part will be on the 2nd. So, but it's all on my website as to what days and times the pujas are for a few months ahead.
And island life anywhere on the globe can be complex because of the economic situation, the history on the land, depending on if it's a Western society type island or just the other side of the globe. It's tight living quarters, even if the population density isn't much, or hurricanes or disasters or this and that over time. Can you talk to us, not necessarily about St. Thomas, but I mean, at times when things get really bad, there can be riots or looting or this and that and violence. In modern day times on any island, drug trafficking can be a thing or anything else. It's not an easy life as portrayed automatically in a movie or a TV series. There can be hardship because of scarcity in jobs and everything else. There can be a perception of lack, it can be generational. Can you, in an abstract and very respectful way, discuss what island life in general can be like, and why a puja or why spiritual practices or why love is so important, especially given island life?
Right. Yeah. Island life I mean, I think anywhere it's what you make it, life is what you make it. But just like we're like a microcosm of the States or of any other like big continent, we have all the good things that can happen and all the not so good things. There is violence here and negativity. A lot of it's been in the earth itself because there was so much that happened with slavery and pirates and other things, just a lot of negativity on the island. So Puja has been really good for clearing that energy and to help release any souls who have been trapped based on a tragic death. It's been really helpful for those kind of souls to help them move on to their next life and not be trapped on the earth plane. But I mean, it really brings community together. We like to pray for others in the island who may need healing. We do have, of course, groups of people who aren't so spiritual, and we have those who are very spiritual. There is a conscious community on the island that's growing and growing, and that feels really good. So people who have very special needs tend to come at that time, which is okay. At least they're getting there when they are maybe not feeling so good about what's going on in their lives, and it does bring them together with others who are doing the same thing. So they feel the love, they feel the connection of the setting of the sacred space, and it really can transform you even in just one puja. If your heart is really open, it's very helpful to bring you to a place where you know that there are others there supporting you.
Can we have all the buzzers and everything on the game show that we're not on right now go off as if we're in Vegas and we hit the jackpot? And can we do a fast 180 and go straight to Angels, some Native American chiefs, and have them weigh in for 10 seconds each on the puja, the importance of renewal, the importance of always remembering when you can remember to remember, if you remember to remember. I forgot the rest of it, to go from here to here. And I'm going to do a lightning round of maybe 12 figures, mostly angels, but Native American chiefs, Sai Baba black and white photo. We'll just get a random smattering, but not so random, of love, reminders, and fun. You're super good at listening, especially for us all. You do a lot of things for us all. Here's Joy. What does she have to say about pujas? And then please get a hug privately or 2 hugs because you've been spending so much energy and time on this, and I love it. And just to say thank you.
She's saying they can be a very fast way to release your karmas when you're ready.
And that is a very fast way if we're talking what I think we're talking about. What an accelerated way to go. Why don't we do one more quick thing? How fast is fast? She's laughing now. It's fast.
Like in that hour, in that 1 hour.
And
some people have big changes. It's not too common, but it can happen. Yeah.
Okay. Here's Charlotte, everybody's favorite school teacher from childhood. Words meant to help you expand, but she's been around the block, very wise. She said in March she has an Orion background as an origin story. Let's throw that out there. Okay, what's Charlotte say about the whole concept of the sacred puja?
Puja is a really special ceremony that I think more and more people in the future are going to connect in with and make it their go-to in times of need.
And now Heather, whose compassion makes hearts in her photos. She's been around the block, very earth-based angel. Whether you want to think Africa or the Amazon jungle, either way, can be very fierce. What's Heather say about pujas?
Pujas keep us on track, keep us in our process, in our soul process, and help people to have more positive way to go more often.
I'm getting a visual of like a waypoint. I don't know what those desert races are. The Dakar, something races across the Sahara or something, but they're like the waypoint checkup stations where you make everything nice again. Your windshield got dirty, clean it. Your engine needed an oil change. There's a starting to be a puncture or the tire's worn, you fix it. They're great for servicing along the route. And the Dakar, those over the desert races, they use motorbikes, they use other, and everyone breaks down. Here's Min. She's a Pacific Island or Mother Hawaii, or just we'll call it Island Life Angel. She's light waves of energy and water, very deep. She said serious as a background, not trying to be too serious here, but a soft-spoken professor if anybody wants to catch that island vibe coming in. And she's going to have a deep take on pujas. And also, if you don't mind making it a second question, for St. Thomas, how's it going for all the pujas, the energetics? Can she relay something upbeat and positive about St. Thomas, the island in the U.S. Virgin Islands?
It's very established at this point, and I think it's going to be gaining more participation in the near future.
Beautiful. 4 archangels, rainbow pie slice color version, Michael Gabriel, Raphael Uriel. What did they have to add to this?
Just, to keep it going, to keep the fires going, to continue with that Dharma. It's really good for helping all souls, not just the people who show up, but it reaches worldwide. So it's a very good Dharma.
I'll put up Claire, who's a resilience angel, and I'll pose a question. Is the puja a little bit like a vortex or portal of love or openness or consciousness or awareness that one is opening with the flames?
It definitely is consciousness, and it is a portal to the divine. It's a divine doorway. So, that's how these beautiful divine beings can show up in the flames and communicate with us. And a lot of the communication is to the soul, it's not to the mind. So you may not know exactly what they're saying, but you will receive the energy.
Brilliant. And I'll have 3 Native American chiefs: Dull Knife, Red Shirt, Geronimo. They're all unconditional love, treetop level, here to help get you from point A to B. Dull Knife and Red Shirt are very formal. Geronimo is slang. Yeah, nah, you already know the answer, but also pure, gets right in there to the heart of the matter. Dull Knife is wisdom with some humor, like a mountain range. People can start to smell tobacco, sweetgrass, juniper, sage, desert piñol. What are you getting in the air first before we hear his take on the ceremony?
Sage.
Yay. And we didn't light anything, so we're good.
I
And
know.
he's got a sense of humor, but what does Dull Knife want to remind us about with the act of letting go?
Letting go allows you to receive. Letting go just reminds your ego that it's not in charge and that you don't have to hold on to everything because you may block yourself from receiving something divine.
And holding on is what Western society, all of us do. I'm going back to it in 2 hours. I got to hold on to something. I got to be attached. I got to think instead of just breathe and be. Here's Red Shirt, gentlest mom in the world, compassion, wearing U.S. presidential medal on his neck. He's super sweet and gentle, Lakota Sioux chief, Red Shirt.
He's just sharing his gratitude for the pujas that they are continuing to happen and worldwide as well. And he's just reminding to be very clear with them,
And
clear with the intentions.
yeah, setting your intent. So as you head to the ceremony, you're going by foot, you're driving, you're flying to the island of St. Thomas to participate in the puja. What is the simplest way to know that you've actually set your intent? This may sound like a dumb question and very redundant, but not everybody works in the concept of setting your intent. The tennis player doesn't necessarily set their intent before they step on the court, although some coaches do teach for competitive players to like touch a tree before they get onto the court to release their worldly concerns through the tree into the earth. And then a few words can go a long way. Could you just give us the simplest of setting intents that could work for any American or foreigner embarking on a similar journey, whether it's to St. Thomas or elsewhere? What would be the simplest letting go? I'll put up Mac, who's, don't call her Mackenzie, everything plants, animals, and nature, who's an angel. She might have the make you laugh with how simple this is. She might kick something out, even though I already know you've got 2 you could give blindfolded. What's Mac remind us for the simplest setting the intent?
The simplest setting for an intention is to come from love, to have the best interests for yourself or for who it is you are setting the intention, to come from your soul
And now,
and to
Vasi,
be,
yeah,
yeah.
what
Go
would
ahead.
be your quickest, shortest? Not that this is important to put it quick or short, but what would be one of the ones you could never forget as the greatest setting intent of all? Is it I am love, I am love, I am love, I am love?
I mean, for me, it's connecting more deeply with Divine Mother in whatever way that looks, however she wants to appear and work through me.
Okay, Geronimo. And I guess I said that as Geronimo, like jumping out of an airplane, but here's older Geronimo. And he is so wonderful, this older picture. Are you already feeling him?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And can you just have a chat privately with him for a second? It doesn't have to be about pujas and today. Just have a little chat for 20 seconds. And then you'll agree on what to share next. And if you don't mind catching a new smell in the air, it could be flowers, it could be the puja smell. That's that unique smell that you get. He'll bring it to you, whatever it is that's special. Or from, I can never pronounce the town in India, Penakunda.
Panukonda. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got close. I get a
You were
prize.
close.
Okay. But have him bring you a sacred smell. It could be the local pujas over in India or something else. And are you getting that as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the puja fragrance.
Okay. And what does he have
Um,
for us? I'm going to pull him back in a second because I can't keep my arms up.
yeah. Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just the continuity of it is very important in these times when a lot of changes are coming up politically, economically, on the earth. It's something to be really consistent with.
Okay. I only have one more angel to do, but let's go to Geronimo just so directly because he's so matter of fact. What's 10 words or less he's saying that you can repeat verbatim?
To be on your best path from here on out, to be the best version of yourself.
Oh, I've never heard it said that way. I love that. I love that. And that's almost like a bumper sticker. Be the best version of yourself or a t-shirt. I love that. Last angel, Harmony. We never use Harmony enough. She's
Mm.
underutilized. There's a lot of angels, hundreds of angels like that. But she chose tranquility. Don't ask me why is her word. I mean, harmony is harmony, faith's faith, grace is grace, joy is joy, hope is hope. You get the idea. Charity is charity. But here's Harmony, and it's supposed to be rainbow light. And these are real photos of light energy form. They're interdimensional. You can ask for pulsing light. You can ask for sparks coming through two screens. Ask for gentle flowers or butterflies to fly around. There's no limits. What will you allow for is the daily rub. But what's Harmony have as a final reminder? And what did she love about Sri Kaleshwar? Or what does she love about Sri Kaleshwar since he's still with us? But talking about his days in India when when he was there, what is she beautifully laughing about, like joyfully appreciating his time on Earth?
Again, like his sense of humor, his deep love, um, just being who he was fully, genuinely. He was very unique.
Hmm. Okay, now back to pujas. What are we covering next on pujas?
Pujas, we could do the benefits.
Let's
There's a
do the
huge
benefits.
list of benefits. They're good for physical things, emotional issues, mental. They can help with the earth. They provide protection circles for people.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, how's that work though? Is it long lasting? At least it's not just during the puja. It's
it's for after as well. Yes,
yeah,
it is. Yeah.
boundaries.
And again, even in personal process, you want to be able to work on your protection circles. And that's where it comes in with something we call a personal mantra that creates protection circles a lot as well. But during the puja and afterwards, yes, there are protection circles. Um, protection circles that idea or that way of the fire working had come from ages ago when different kingdoms in India would burn fires as a protection for their countries, for their area, to keep, other energies out, to increase their angel ability. The angels would work for certain leaders because they, like certain leaders would have spiritual uh, like teachers as part of their group. And so these teachers were able to connect with angels, and doing pujas, as you know, really brings the angels around because they answer our prayers. But the protection circles come from the angels. They help in keeping the kingdom free of any invasion. It's a very ancient background regarding the protection circles, but it still works this today too. It's just not we're protecting kingdoms, we're just protecting ourselves and our property, whatever it might be.
Do you have a
So
story of an angel during a puja that you connected with, had a chat with, saw, or you just knew was there that you don't mind sharing from, I don't know, in the last 5 years, 10 years?
definitely at a puja when we were in Laytonville at the Chandranati process, there were so many angels. I didn't connect with one in particular. There were just so many. You connected with all of them. There were thousands and thousands of angels that showed up in pictures afterwards too. You could feel them, but then when you see them in pictures, you really knew that's what you were feeling. It was amazing. Swami's soul was so huge. He attracted a lot of angels in any process that he did.
There's
Ah, there
Joy
you
in the
have it.
center, and there's Claire, the resilience angel, but actually Min is above Joy. My crew is right in the middle by the pink ball light, but that's a concert in Austin, Texas. Not
Wow.
raining, not humidity, and not orbs.
Yeah, that's what it looked like
Oh, so you got to see, or was it photographs after the fact, or you could see it, or you could feel
after
it
the
that way?
after the fact. Yes, yes, I
Oh,
could
so you
feel
had
it.
photographs and the whole thing, all of it. Wild, wild.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
there's a lot of sacred
Huge.
sites and then ceremonies that the only way I know how to describe it is if I'm playing ball with my dog Joy, who's named after Joy. She's the blonde retriever with some Pyrenees in her. She loves playing ball. 2 houses ago, my first place in Austin, I used to take a lot more photos. Now I've taken like 20 photos in 2 years or four years, something horrible. Um, but if I took a couple photos before we start playing, there's two balls of light, and here's Joy. Um, and I'm throwing the ball. We're having a good time. Forgot all about it, but I've got the camera nearby. And then after we've got the vibe up, take the photo. It's like it started to snow. I mean, angels everywhere. I have a beautiful shot of the dogs running, chasing each other, and you can just see snowflakes all over the yard, and the dog's tongue is hanging out. They're having fun. And there's even streams of light, not just balls. It's all shapes, forms, and sizes. That's why I try to get away from the expression orbs, but it's streams of light. So like I call it an autobus. It'll be a long line of light with circles all in it. So it's like a
Hmm.
autobus with passengers.
It's really amazing to see that,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very pretty. So
Mm.
the more joy there is, the more letting go, the more angels like to be in there. I always argue a concert is the epitome of letting go. If you like the band's playing well, you're having a good time, and you're truly, that's what everyone when they talk about a good concert, I think everyone can relate to this. Do you have a particularly memorable puja that you just still today think it would be the equivalent of a band memory? People follow the Grateful Dead or Dave Matthews, Grimes, something, and there's always a pinnacle of, was there a puja somewhere that today you still look back and say, thank goodness for that? Was it California, India? Was it St. Thomas that one time? What's a memory you have of a puja? It could have been for the benefit of others.
I could have one in each place, actually.
Okay, sure.
The
Could you
one in
mind?
St. Thomas when Divine Mother showed up. Yes, that one
Okay.
definitely. One in Penuconda when Swami was talking to us late one night, and as he was sitting there talking, Baba came through him. We
Cool.
saw Swami, then we saw Baba, and then we saw Swami again. That was amazing. And then there was one in California where he was working around the Junie, which is the fire pit, and ash just came right out of his hands. It's like he didn't even try to do anything.
And this is
Ash.
Swami in California when he was
Uh-huh.
visiting.
Mhm.
Wow. And that I've heard before. It's sacred ash, and it was a big deal, and it would happen. Actually, he could do it a lot, is the best way I could describe it. Correct?
Yeah, it's miracle energy when that happens. It just flows from them, through their hands.
And with your permission, can I just put up Charlotte to have another way to absorb that as a concept? And do you mind taking, before I put her up, she'll have a great way to add extra dimensional, no pun and pun intended, take on it. But do you mind explaining, like, again, if you go to the two YouTube videos on my fun video playlist, you can find the two by Alan Steinfeld that are 26 minutes each. But I think it's John Gray who talks about, or somebody talks about that, he'll put a couple of flower petals in your hand, you close it, when you open it, it's a locket that you end up, wearing because it's sacred. Even the host who ended up marrying Alan Steinfeld, who was doing the videos, they got married. He officiated that. At the very beginning of one of those two segments, she talked about that very act, and she showed her own necklace, that even the necklace had changed itself when metal can't change. So it was it's hard for the societal mind to allow for this. But can you give a couple of those examples? He was known for taking what, rose petals, this, and then this.
I've seen a picture of that he had something in his hand, and then when he opened it, there was like, I think it was a ring in his hand,
Hmm.
and he didn't have it there before.
And he wasn't
And
doing
there's
anything with his hand. He was just doing this and then this.
no, he was chanting a mantra because he
Okay.
knows how to work the energy. That's what the mantras do. They help to transform, to relocate things. And so he was chanting, and then he opened his hand when he knew it was fully there and showed it. Um, and there's another really, I think, probably well-known picture. It might be online, but when he was very young, he was in process with a few students, and he had a rose in his hand, and it started catching fire. He just, yeah, lit it up to
Mm,
show the students, that miracle, to catch them, to give it to them as like a divine chocolate, an experience for them to always remember
that's
and
right.
to
Didn't he
hook them
call?
in.
He was like, unfortunately, I got to do this chocolate thing because people are demanding, they're pushy. The mind has to have proof. And then it only invites more people coming in to then take a shot at the chocolates. But he talked about it in terms of chocolates, didn't he? That you had to hand out some chocolates to the folks to
The
keep.
miracles that he would do. It
Yeah, and I
just
just
hooked
saw
them
a white
in.
ball of light go by right here. Let's do it this way. Can we have Charlotte address uh, his connectedness, the interdimensionality of when he got focused? She'll have something deep to say verbatim, if you don't mind, from Charlotte about Sri Kaleshwar.
His interconnectedness, his deep connectedness with the divine comes from many, many lifetimes of spiritual processes, spiritual practices. And it culminated in this one. He's been, you know, a healer and a teacher from way back. And he brought it together in a different way, what we needed now in this point in time of history for all of the students.
Hmm. And what does she have as a reminder? A last reminder from angels here for the show today, but a last reminder on a daily basis. There's literally miracles in everything. There's love in everything. There's joy in everything. We only have to slow down, take a step, a breath. But what is a specific, again, reminder for us all?
Really, to be in the moment, um, to be present with yourself, to be present with the divine.
Hmm. Did you have a last couple of areas you wanted to take us, or broader? Um, how has your journey shifted over the years or the decades that you would want to share with us? Do you feel you've been more patient with yourself now, and that there are no more expectations? You're allowing the divine to unfold daily?
It's definitely daily. I'm in I'm in process pretty much all the time. When I'm not meditating, I'm really trying to observe, set intention, and be open to what happens and what comes. And normally when something needs to happen, it will.
Mm.
It just flows. Um, it's really helped me to handle negativity because growing up, things would push me the wrong way a lot. I didn't know how to handle it. But coming into Sri Kaleshwar's channels, it's really helped me handle negativity, to love myself more, to have more compassion for other people, just to see the world differently, to
Mm.
see it through the eyes of Swami, because he taught us so much about our soul family and the globe as, a living, breathing entity.
And those divine channels, that was the phrase I've been looking for since the start of the show. The divine channels are now your specialty. If someone reached out from Peru, if someone reached out from LA, if someone reached out from Vermont or Southern France, they don't have to be steeped in Indian tradition to be able to tap you. You do something for them. They will obviously feel the need to describe their situation. But can you talk to us about how that interaction typically works? It's an email, it's a call, it's a voicemail message, something via your contact page on your website. Do you immediately, as the person starts reaching out, get sort of a feel for them from the universe?
Very often as I'm reading the information that they share when they write an email, I get an idea of what they may need. But again, I also like to speak with them first before we do a session and just get a better feel of what's going on. And yeah, distance is no object. It's easy to work with anyone anywhere. So I like to speak with them a little bit first and see where they're coming from, and then meditate after that, because sometimes people think it's a certain issue, but it could be something deeper, something different. So it's not just going on what they say.
Hmm. And that's brilliant. That's absolutely the case. They're like, it's the ace of spades, king of hearts, and the jack of diamonds. And later you're like, actually, I'm hearing the other two aces, a nine, 10, and two of clubs. Yes. Any final reminders for us? I'll do a stall and just do 4 reminders for folks. So here are the 4 reminders from folks for folks. Positivity is abundance. Angels exist, trust that this is so. And then your answers and much more will come. Hugs, healing, divine light. Where you put your focus is where you put your focus. That's 13 years of hard-earned spiritual study. Where you put your focus is where you put your focus. And lastly, how you spend your energy is how you spend it. The second you realize the difference between up here and down here, you're off to the races, especially for your unique life path that we all have. Vossy, you've done these shows a lot. What's a final way to wrap up all of it?
To live in gratitude and to make space for the divine in your life, because having that connection is the ultimate. It's what we all have, and we don't always honor it or know that. So always make space for the divine in your life.
And do you mind, can we do a final bit of listening by you, but we don't need photos for this, Sai Baba and then Sri Kaleshwar, a final bit of just take a moment and leave us with a quick something, a last parting, not chocolate, a taste of yogurt.
To be able to find your joy every day, to find something that brings you joy, and to really love others like you would wish to be loved.
Was that both of them? Both of them?
Yes.
That's funny. Okay. And that would be it. VASI Therese Rose Lopez. I'm a huge fan of yours. Thank you for being on the show again. You've been on, by the time people see this, you've been on at least 2 or 3 panels. People can check that out in the Mind, Body, Spirit section of the channel. You're a tremendous guest. You're a tremendous resource and with tremendous wisdom. So thank you for taking the time to share with us. It's most appreciated.
Thank you, Michael. It's an honor and a privilege. I'm very, very grateful to you.
Mm.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.